Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. Shortly, we'll be chatting with Blight Town, whose single Swerve we have featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button wherever you are watching or listening. Well, listeners, welcome to the podcast, Blight Town. We're delighted to have you on for this episode. We've really enjoyed your latest single, Swerve, which we're going to talk to you about in just a moment. But before then, just to introduce the band as a whole, we start off always with our first topic, which is what we call the origin story. We have got Jake, Sam, and Joseph from the band with us today. Welcome again, gentlemen. So the origin story of Blight Town. Where did the band, come together? What is the origin story for Blight Town?
Me and Sam are brothers, and we've basically been writing music together for like a long time. So me and the bass player Scott and the guitarist Will, we're all writing music together. It was all sort of stuff that we'd write, and then like it'd never make it out of like the bedroom. So it'd be like, we used to call it Project X because like we didn't even bother giving it a band name because we didn't think it was ever going to get out of that. So we basically just jam and like record things on our phone and stuff. And eventually it got to a point where we were like, we'd all been in different bands with different people and stuff. And we were just like, why are we not like in a band with each other? Like, why have we always sort of like gone off with different people or whatever? So we kind of got into forced ourselves into a practice room and started writing some stuff. And then we came across Joe on Join My Band. Since then, some of the stuff we've been writing as a band, we've had stuff that's 5 or 6 years old, but just not done anything with it. So like we've only really been functioning as like a real band for like 2 years maybe. It's like just before the pandemic hit that we started cracking on with it, which is a good time.
Of course,
it's a good time to get yourself in gear.
Obviously, pandemic always comes up in every chat that I have at the minute, and I always say, I try and avoid asking questions about it, but it's unavoidable, isn't it? Because it impacted the music industry so heavily, and obviously, momentum is so important for new bands, and obviously it killed the momentum for so many. So obviously it's great to see Blight Town emerge out the other side and able to still continue and put out music. And obviously Swerve is the song that has just hit the airwaves. We've added it, of course, to our Discover New Music playlist, hence we've got you guys on the accompanying podcast. So obviously we've really enjoyed it because we wouldn't put anything on there that we didn't enjoy. So what can you tell us about Swerve? What is the story of Swerve? How did that come together? How was that recorded? What's it about?
So Sam writes pretty much everything, like guitar-wise, until recently, anyway. But I think it was just a riff you're playing around, wasn't it? Like it was like it's kind of a riff we've had for a while and not done anything with again. And then
the intro riff originally was really long and in like a really strange time signature, and couldn't get it to fit anything. And Jay was like, just try your best to make it 4/4, and we don't do enough of the 4/4 poppiness. So I just figured we could get that down, and then just the structure came from that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we're kind of, with this one especially, we've kind of always been a bit like we tend to twiddle a lot, you know what I mean? Like we tend to doodle and we got some guitar, yeah. But sometimes we're just maybe we need to write something that's a bit poppier. Maybe we need to write something a bit straighter in structure. You can
less like music for musicians as opposed to music for music listeners.
You can still have your little noodly sections and stuff, but structure-wise, it's a lot poppier than pretty much anything we've done. It's vocally, it's just lyrically. Sorry, it's just about it's how there's disparity in things, so you can have you can't feel the really good stuff if you don't allow yourself to feel the really bad stuff. So it's kind of you have to sort of let yourself wallow in depression and fully feel it, so you can sort of get past it and feel something better on the other side of it. There's I found myself writing all about that kind of thing a lot recently, like how life is sort of like, I know life isn't black and white, it's all like grey and shit, but like particularly that I find that like you can't have one without the other. It's just
Yeah.
something weird that I've been noticing a lot recently. So yeah, I kind of like took a bit of inspiration from that.
Yeah, it's that yin and the yang, isn't it?
Yeah.
Life most definitely is very grey. We're all trying to find a way through it. Well, obviously, you know, the output of all that is a fantastic song in Swerve, and yeah, you can certainly see the more, you know, pop orientated approach, but it still maintains obviously a lot of the technical elements in there, which I think they supplement each other really, really well, and that's probably what gives the song its strength. So how would you compare it? Obviously, you mentioned you've been a band for a little while. You've actually, you put your debut EP out a while back. Obviously, you've kind of hinted there, a different mental approach to how you tackle the recording of Swerve. How do you see Swerve, sitting against the backdrop of that debut EP, and what should we expect, from the musical direction of the band going forward?
I think we've definitely been writing poppier, I guess. Like, still in the same kind of thing. We still like weird time signatures. We still like complex sections, and like Will is like crazy on weird effects and stuff. Like he's like got about 100 pedals that he doesn't put on his board because it's just like, I love them, but I've got no use for them. So yeah, I guess like we want to just keep sort of experimenting. Really, we want to try doing different things with each release. Like I think this one, the stuff we're working on at the minute is definitely more towards the sort of I guess like kind of funky side. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of like wah and like tremolo and phaser and stuff in it. So we are playing around a lot with effects and stuff. But yeah, structure wise, I think that's like the way we're heading at the minute. We're trying to sort of keep things as interesting for us, and sort of mix as many different amounts of our influences in as we can. But we are sort of looking at it now with a more sort of like, is this a bit self-indulgent? Would this be like, is this something that someone would literally want to sit and listen to for 3.5 minutes, like just because we think it's sick or whatever? Like, yeah, I think that's definitely, there's definitely a move more towards a sort of more poppy, polished,
easily accessible, not as chaotic.
Yeah, I still like the like chaos and the crazy noise and stuff for sure. But I think that's definitely something we're moving towards. Even keeping the dynamics and the actual instrumentation like pretty weird, but just move structure wise. So it's a more sort of like verse chorus kind of thing. Still want to kind of like subvert those expectations a bit sometimes, because like sort of can't help ourselves. But yeah, definitely want to kind of move towards that a little bit more.
Yeah, well, to me that certainly seems like a mature approach for you to take, really. Obviously, to like you said, write songs that perhaps aren't the sort that you would want to listen to. Obviously, Sam, I think earlier mentioned music for musicians. There's a saying about obviously writing songs that or writing music that you want to listen to yourself. But then if that's only achieving so much, getting so far, being able to recognise, actually, if I add this other element to it, and I maintain what I'm all about, but actually I'm willing to diverse and experiment. Obviously, it does work well for a lot of artists, and obviously has done for you guys.
I kind of get like more and more into pop music, like the older I get as well. So, and I've always like enjoyed that kind of there's a reason it's called popular music, like the earworm thing, and like I think it's cool to sort of look at all the weird like out there influences we've got, and like the things we like listening to, and then be like, all right, cool, how can we make that like really poppy and accessible?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is an approach I think a lot of rock bands are taking more and more these days. I mean, I think the trendsetters in that were obviously Bring Me the Horizon. They were the first, I think, really in recent times to really push the boundaries, and now you get a lot of bands trying to emulate that success. But some do it well, others not so much. But I'd certainly say not that you've fully gone that direction, but having that influence or the change of the pop direction with Swerve, it certainly is working well, I think, for you guys.
That last album that they did was like a perfect like melding of pop and metal. Like I saw a lot of people like oh, Bring Me Don't Even Go Hard anymore. And I'm like, yeah, but they do. Like, they're just literally just making it like super commercial, but still heavy. Like, it doesn't have to be like super distorted and like down chugs and stuff for it to still be heavy. Like,
yeah, like you say, Posthuman, the review that we wrote for it for the website, we pretty much said it's like they've taken every element of the band that has been for the last decade or two that they've been in existence, and finally meshed it all together, and the outcome was fantastic. So speaking of then reactions to things, obviously the reaction to that album from Bring Me Horizon, like you said, was obviously incredible, got to #1, etc. Reactions are instantaneous these days. Musicians put out music, they don't have to wait for magazine reviews or to go to a show and meet someone, because obviously we've got social media, so everyone's instantly engaged with it. How have you found the reaction to Swerve since you put it out?
Yeah, it's been really easy, to be fair. It's always nice when people like sort of go out of their way to like message you and tell you and stuff. Like, it's nice seeing more followers come in and like streams on Spotify and people like actively taking an interest. But for me, the really nice thing has been like people that I sort of like know in real life or whatever that message me and be like, oh, I didn't even realize you're in a band. This is really sick and stuff like that. Yeah, I think for me that's been my favorite.
People singing the lyrics back at us at gigs and stuff is a big thing.
Yeah, that's like a recent thing,
really
isn't it?
nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
I thought with Swerve is like we've played it at every gig we've played as the last song, and a couple of people have been like, "What is that song?" And until now, we've actually been like, "Well, it doesn't really have a name," so it's quite cool to be able to be like,
Yeah, it had all of our songs have got check it out. All of our songs have got weird song titles, to be fair, and that had like a weird working title as well. It was called Gungu Yetyi for quite a while.
Wow.
Yeah, there's stay tuned for more weird song titles because we've got loads. Like, we're not going to stop.
Yeah, I look forward to
it. We're going a serious vetting process at the minute to decide which ones are just weird enough to get away with.
Yeah, that's striking the balance, isn't it? Like, which ones, like, because some of them we come up with and we're like, I love that, but like, we can't use that as a song title. Like, no one will take it seriously. But yeah, no, there's plenty more of those coming, I think, for sure. I've got a couple covering already.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good to know. I can't wait to see them and hear them. So to put a little bow on the conversation around Swerve, we should touch on the video as well. So obviously listeners can check out the video to Swerve on YouTube, and obviously in the bio of the podcast we'll have the appropriate links for listeners to get through and to watch that. So how was it for you guys to film that the video? Obviously you say a performance type video, but obviously it's a pretty intense one. Obviously I think it works quite well with the songs. Talk to us about that process.
Yeah,
it was
it was great at first.
I was wearing a big, like, really thick black coat for about 9 hours, and it was like blisteringly hot.
It was boiling. It was really fun to film. To be fair, we filmed it at a place in Beeston called the Pigeon Moth, and our friend Jace Anderson did it for us. He's done all of our videos so far, and he's like
Jay and Kyle.
Yeah, that's like the best boys. Yeah. But yeah, when it was fun. It was great to film and everything. But like the scene where the petals are coming down. So we bought some petals from Amazon, and I think they were like from China or something. They were next to like I don't know why, but they absolutely stunk of fish. I think they came from like next to a fish. So we're getting these like petals like coming down on us, and yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. But the scene where each of us individually is like getting the petals fall down on us, I like went first, so it wasn't too bad for me. But like, because we'd only bought this one bag, we had to like sweep up all the petals afterwards on like a wooden floor. So each person that went after that got slightly more like dust and like lint and like bits of like dirt. I think Will went last, and like you can see him like visibly like recoiling as this horrible like dirt comes like waving down over. Where did you go, Joe? Were you like second or third or something? How bad was it for you?
I was third, yeah, but it was a lot of drumstick parts in mine, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm glad I went first. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way. That was not pleasant.
I broke my guitar while we were filming as well for Swerve. I was like throwing the guitar around quite aggressively every single take, and then about seven hours in or something to filming, the screw just came straight out the top of the body. So we had to do some DIY with some glue and matches and whatever we could get to screw it back into place.
But yeah, no, it was yeah, it was a really fun video to film. But look, we've kind of done weird videos before, like with like some
So
sort of
it's nice to do something a bit.
yeah. We've not done a
Yeah,
video
yeah.
where like all of us are just sort of in a room playing or whatever. So we were like, you know, maybe we don't need to like overcomplicate video this time. Maybe we just have some nice lighting and like just like get in a room and do our thing or whatever.
Yeah, no, it certainly seems like it was a memorable experience for you.
Oh god, yeah.
I still have clothes that I was wearing that day that just stink of fish. Like, I don't understand why they smell so bad. Like, I can't
Maybe it's
think
not
of a
the
reason
Pelt
for it.
problem.
So yeah, obviously that puts a bit of a bow on Swerve for us. So obviously, it's been great for us. Swerve really was our introduction to the band. Obviously, and subsequently, gone back and had a look at what you've put out there before with the EP. So, listeners to this podcast, obviously, it's the Discover New Music podcast. So there's a good chance they're discovering you through Swerve as well. So they may well be wondering, what's coming down the line. And obviously, a lot of it is probably secret. A lot of the time bands aren't able to say, well, we're going to release this on this date, but should listeners certainly be expecting new music from you during the rest of this year? What are you looking at?
Definitely.
I'd say so. Yeah, I don't want to be too coy or whatever. Like, we are writing and recording and stuff. Like, we've actually just finished recording something a couple of weeks ago that I think we're looking at maybe before the end of the year. Something to follow it up with, maybe another single. And
No
then,
concrete date or anything yet, but we have been recording and working with Miroslav at Jigsaw, who's the guy we just kind of absolutely swear by at this point.
Yeah.
And we've got a few tracks recorded. We're just not sure on a release date yet.
Yeah,
that'll kind of come in time when it's mixed, mastered, and everything's kind of together as the full package.
Yeah, we're again. I think these songs it's like the best stuff we've written. Like, it's definitely like if we wrote Swerve kind of before the rest of these songs, so that was like our first sort of.
It's the bridge.
Yeah, that's definitely the bridge into this kind of material, because this next stuff is it's all weird effects. It's all screams and cleans and a lot of
dynamics wise a lot more interesting.
Yeah, we definitely played around with dynamics a lot more, and some weird percussion and stuff in one song. If it makes
some finger snaps in there.
We got some finger snaps in there. Yeah. The double ones. Me and Joe pitied them, but we were like, nah, let's do it. To be fair, we messed around a lot with that percussion and stuff, and we listened back to it and we're like, yeah, maybe this is a bit too much. Maybe we should dial this back a little bit. But yeah, I think some of it's probably going to make it into the final release. Admittedly, like, we screw around with Miroslav too much. Like, probably could have got more done if we weren't messing around. Like, let's put a cowbell in it. Let's put like an African drum in it. Like,
wow.
Yeah, let's do that. What's that thing where you like lick your finger and you put your finger around the edges of the glasses? It's like.
I don't know if there's a technical term for that. But I'm sure there is, but it's definitely not one that I know.
It's a term that eludes me for sure. But yeah, no, we're thinking of that, and then probably start writing for a longer release shortly afterwards as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we look forward to everything you got coming, and certainly are going to be keeping an eye out for the African drums and the finger snaps and everything. So look forward to that. Obviously, so that's one half of the industry, and the other half of the industry, which I think we probably all prefer and love the most, is obviously the live element. Mm-hmm. So obviously, you've been able to get out and play a number of shows since obviously the restrictions of the pandemic lifted. I think recently I noticed obviously you had a great slot over at the UK Tech Fest. So how was that slot, and how has it just felt for you guys to get out on the road again and play shows?
Joe was buzzing. He got a drum tech.
First time with a drum tech, so I got to
That's the dream, baby.
Like my property, yeah. It was really good. That whole gig. I was surprised by how many people came out and like were hardcore dancing. But
Oh, that was fun.
There's this
Two-step in,
one dude with like a handlebar mustache, and he was awesome. He was like, he two-stepped, I think, for every single band that day. Whether
it was
whether
the
it
slam pit Nigel Thornbury, he was fantastic.
whether the genre necessitated it or not, he was throwing down, like,
Big up that guy.
from, you know, from the first band to like, well, as soon as we left,
Probably
much,
after all the other bands had finished.
Yeah.
It's like ambient noises in the car park and stuff.
Just the sound of the street like humming, and he's just like, yeah, no, it was great. I was surprised by that as well. The fact that like, even though we were on pretty early, I think we were opening the main stage. There were like tons of people there.
I was super surprised by the turnout. It was so nice.
Yeah, Simon's a really nice dude as well.
Yeah.
Bless him. I think he mentioned that he saw every single band over Techfest. Like he did watch every single band, which is mad when you're like, you know, you're the organizer. Yeah. Must have killed him, like switching stage to stage like all day. That's the cool thing about Techfest as well. Like there were no clashes or anything. Like as soon as one band finished on the second stage, there would be another one starting up on the main stage. I think that was our first experience playing a festival as one, and it was, I think it was a really good one to have as your first experience. Everyone was like super nice. Like there was some cool food stands and stuff. That was probably one of my favorites we've done so far. To be fair, like really thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, and Joe, obviously, you know, how's your ego after having a drum tech, you know?
It was probably the least stressed I've ever been at a gig, which is like, you know, the opposite of what I expected, considering it was the largest stage. But just being able to like, oh, okay, I'm done now. I can walk off the stage and not have to come back and carry the cymbal in both my arms. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, here's to more of it in the future for you, and I'm sure there will be. So, you know, with that in mind, obviously, listeners that are discovering you now, where can they catch you coming up? What shows you guys got coming up?
Ooh, we got Mangata Festival.
Yeah, this Sunday. This Sunday, the old
coleslaw.
Yeah, not cold store.
The old coleslaw.
Cold store. Old cold store. Not cold store or cold store. The old cold store. Yeah, it's. Sorry, I thought you said cold store. So we've got that. We have some things that we're working on at the minute that I don't know if we're allowed to talk about yet, but yeah, we've got.
We're looking going to be playing in Rock City Beta with.
Yes, another one.
In November, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The 4th, isn't it? 4th of November. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, some good stuff coming, definitely.
We're also we're looking at a run of dates around the UK in towards the end of the year, autumn kind of time, October, November. That's getting booked at the minute, so we should be going up and down the UK pretty soon. So yeah, if you haven't seen it before, it's probably a good chance at one of those.
Yeah, so
come to Brazil.
Definitely. So obviously, listeners, the best place to find out about these shows will obviously these days be on social media. So obviously we've got your channels here. So obviously they can find you on Instagram and Facebook at Blight Town UK. So obviously, listeners, again, the links will be in the bio of the episode anyway, but obviously that's where you want to head to keep track of Blight Town and everything that's coming new music wise and live show wise. So the last portion of the podcast follows on from the live show discussions. And interestingly, you've kind of touched on a little bit already because you discussed obviously the placement of Swerve as the last song in the set list. So the last portion of our podcast it's called Setlist Science because I'm a bit of a setlist geek. So the question to you is, how much importance do you place in the structure of a set list, and have you got any rules that you try to follow?
I mean, we are pretty specific about it. We tend to have, we basically have these little interlude things that Will writes that we sort of play between each song.
Strategically, when we have to like use a capo or change tuning very slightly,
So and I think it's a good thing to do. It's like some bands, it's great to like go up and be like, how's everyone doing? Hell yeah, brother, and stuff like that. Like for us, it's more just the interludes and the music just kind of keep the vibe going a little bit. they're all sorts of things. Like we've got one that's just like a sample of Rain, and then with like a little Japanese dulcimer thing behind it. There's some that are just like bassy sort of
almost trap beats.
Almost trap beats. But I think we've moved the set around quite a bit. Like we tend to like get bored of it and go, oh, well, put this here, put this here. It's definitely important for things like when you've got to change tuning, when you've got a capo on a song or whatever.
The stuff that's going to be like particularly harder in terms of vocal range.
Yeah,
you're going to be tired out by the end of the set.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs where my vocals are like at the top of their range, and I'm sort of like yelping or like barking or whatever, and I have to like those have to be like I'm pretty insistent on like please have those earlier in the set. By the end of it, like I'm not going to be able to hit that note. So yeah, no, it is super important like where they are in terms of like making it easier for yourself and making it sound as tight as it can be. Because if you're thrashed out from like 5 or 6 songs of like constant doodling as well, and then you get to like Swerve's a nice one to end on for sure, because it's
definitely
it's I think it's nice and easy for Will. It's not too bad for you, is it? It's just a
no, that doesn't even bother me. It's just the intro riff is really difficult, like especially at the end of the set kind of thing. But it's the price I pay, to be fair.
Sam has a habit of writing riffs that he can't play, and then having to learn to play them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure I changed some stuff around in the studio for the new stuff that I just kind of did on the fly, and I'm now going to have to get the solo guitar tracks and actually learn my own songs.
What do you think, Joe? I mean, you set up most of our interludes and like electronic side of things.
Joe's a wizard with his MIDI plan.
He says.
I always try and think, if I'm listening to this, at what point am I going to get sick of this band? Because if we put all of our most intense songs at the start, after 10 minutes I would have left the show. So I try and pace it out so we have catchy and intense, like, to listen to, like not like Pancakes where they're really good at the start and then you hate them at the end. Ever have Pancakes?
Yes, controversial, that is.
No, I know what you mean. I'm always sick of them by like admittedly I pretty much only eat pancakes on Pancake Day or like when the mood for some reason takes me. But yeah, you start making them and then like you're like, oh, this is really nice, this is a good idea, and then you've eaten like 3 and you're like, oh well, I've used all the batter now. I went out and boiled. I'm gonna have to make another 5, I guess. Like,
yeah, to be fair, Joe, that is that's a really interesting way of putting it. Yeah, it is, and to hear you as well say, obviously, at what point would I get bored? I've asked this question to an awful lot of musicians, and I've never had an answer, like that. And realistically, that is a good way to look at it. Definitely. And kind of almost goes back to that point Sam made earlier around writing music that you want to listen to, or let's play set lists that we would want to see played. Definitely. I always find that portion of the podcast really interesting, obviously as a set list geek myself. I take it it's not something you end up arguing too much about. You get agreement normally, do you?
A little bit.
For the most part, it's when people are like, oh, can we play this one towards the end because the vibe's better, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sing it. Like, we can put it towards the end, but I'm going to be getting by that point in the set. So I think we mostly agree, don't we? Like,
yeah, I'd say so. Like, it's usually, if not like a unanimous decision, then like 4 out of 5 kind of just go, yeah, that's how we're doing it.
To be honest, it's usually me or Scott that will just say like, that will go against everyone else and be like, no, we'll do the
unstoppable force and the unmovable object of the band.
Yeah, like, it's either going to be me or Scott that's being difficult, to be fair.
I always feel, asking that question is going to turn it into somewhat of a band therapy session. I think that is one of the most argumentative points for a band, set list, which is good because it shows you've got a passion for it, and obviously you want it to be structured well. So certainly you passed my test on that one. Obviously fantastic chatting with you. Obviously we've really enjoyed Swerve. We can't wait to see what you guys have got coming out next. Obviously listeners, make sure you follow the band on social media, and please do try and head along to a show as well when they get scheduled. So what would be your final message for listeners today?
I guess that we've got some really interesting stuff coming up. I don't want to do like big things coming soon. Big things coming soon. Thing. But we're working with some really cool people, and we've got a lot planned. And I think over the next however long, there's going to be some really interesting stuff coming out from us, and most importantly, there's going to be some really good music coming out.
Towards the back end of this year, there's going to be a lot going on.
Yeah,
lots of shows.
This is like phase one. Like it's going to kick into gear very soon, I think.
Yeah, so you didn't want to say it, so I will say it. So listeners, follow the band on social media. Obviously stream the songs, buy any songs that come out, go and see the band live. Definitely needs to be done. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you so much
for having us, man.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Blight Town. Please do remember to check out their single Swerve on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. And of course, follow the band on social media. You can also follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And if you would, please do hit that subscribe button, hit that like button wherever you're watching or listening. And we'll be back very soon for another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.